I'm not going to mess around with any silly intros, speech synth, or pleasantries on this one. I'm going to roll up my sleeves, which aren't actually rolled up, and get to work. This is the DEC Multia UDB model VX40 that you may remember from my summer pickups video. When this system was donated to me, I was told that it was currently not working, but it should just need the internal battery replaced. Without that battery, it won't power on. I understand some 68K based Macs are the same way. That was about 3 months ago, so of course I forgot about all of that when I sat down to work on the machine. I wasn't too worried about the power supply being bad, so I just powered it on. The system fan comes right on, and that's generally a good sign. In the pickups video, I mentioned that the stands for these things are always either missing or all the clips are broken. This is the part where I break the last clip on this stand. Boo! I looked at the stand and I don't think it'll be too hard to 3D print replacement clips to epoxy onto it. They tried to make the system easy to access by providing thumb screws so that the motherboard assembly could be removed. However, the power leads are so short that you either have to disconnect them or take the top off anyway. An A for effort, I guess? We finally get a look at the motherboard. That big brick is the heatsink on the CPU. We'll get a better look at it later, but the heatsink is literally bolted onto the CPU. Digital did that on a lot of the alpha processors. Here's a good look at the battery. I'm very happy that it's in its own case and it's easily removable. No leakage to worry about. Off camera, I wired the connector from the old battery to a replacement battery case that just uses AAA batteries. It's not pretty, but it should do for now. Connect everything back up and give it another go. Oops. Even with the fresh battery installed, there are still no signs of life. What I should have known to look for is a blinking light near the Ethernet port on the back. There's no light now. Let's see if we even get any keyboard lights. On PCs anyway, getting some activity on the keyboard lights is an early sign that something is alive. Still, not a thing. Let's take this thing the rest of the way apart so we can at least get a good look at it. The PCI riser has an NCR PCI SCSI controller on it. There's a ribbon cable that goes to the external port and a header for an internal 2.5-inch SCSI drive. Yes, that's a thing. No, I'll probably never find one. The removal of the faceplate was made infinitely more difficult by me forgetting that the motherboard slides out of the way. Nonetheless, I'm trying to be very careful with the plastic clips that hold the faceplate in place. This plastic is very brittle over time and they break very easily, and I have broken more of those on other computers than I can easily count. You can get a pretty good view of the Brooktree RAM DAC, the TGA graphics chip, no relation to TIGA, and the video RAM. On the bottom side, you can get a really good view of the PCMCIA ports. I'm not really sure what you would use those for on this system. Maybe a modem? I believe they're 16-bit PCMCIA and not 32-bit card bus, so you can't even get a nice sound card for them. With everything that's already integrated on the system, I just don't know what you would use them for. The head on that one screw was a little bit stripped. When I was pushing on it hard to try to get purchase, I could feel the motherboard flexing, so I had to take some extra care to not cause irreparable damage. Here again is the heatsink assembly, and deep down inside are the bolts that I mentioned earlier. I wasn't kidding. As if the 2.5-inch SCSI drive nonsense wasn't enough, this uses some kind of proprietary floppy drive too. I sure hope I never break that cable or that connector, because I'll never find a replacement. And finally, there it is, in all its glory. I was going to go ahead and check the voltages on the power supply just to see if that was the problem. But pretty early in that process, I noticed this. One of the connectors had popped out of the power supply. Well, that might be a problem. Okay, get everything put back together, plugged in, power connected to the motherboard, battery connected to the motherboard. Turn it on and let's see if anything happens. That's new. The speaker's ticking. Nothing on the screen whatsoever. Finally, some signs of life, even if not very much. I was just going to leave it like this and go do some research in the technical manuals to see if I could figure out how to decode the blinking light. But after doing some research into that, I decided to give it one more shot later on in the evening. As soon as the computer is turned on, the light starts blinking. The technical reference manual says that at the beginning of each test, this particular model will blink the light. And it will only beep out a special code if there is some kind of an error. And this goes on for about 20 seconds. Then something magic happens. We get a little bit about the SRM console, and then I think we see the ending from 2001: A Space Odyssey. Then the screen goes black, and that's all she wrote. So it appears to be working, maybe properly. In the next video, I'm going to try to put it all back together, get it cleaned up, and get some kind of operating system software installed on it. I know I don't have Ultrix. I don't think I have the right version of Windows NT, so I'm most likely going to put some version of Linux on it because that's what I know. So until then,